It's interesting because I don't know a lot of the history. When my grandparents came to America,
So thank you to be here to do this interview for Visit Pisticci, and thank you to Massimo Spani to invite you in Pisticci. Frank, tell us the story of your grandparents and how they immigrated to America.
it's interesting because I don't know a lot of the history. When my grandparents came to America, they spoke very little of their life in Italy. I did not find out about my grandparents until 7 years ago. I'm 68, and I didn't find out about them until I was 61. I had no idea the name of the town they came from. I had no idea the name of their wife. I had no idea what they did. And it was only when I started to do a little research after retirement and go on the internet and go to the archives in the city of New York where they kept all the records, that I started to find out that my grandparents were from Pisticci. I found out that my grandfather came from Pisticci through his United States Army draft registration application. And it said, where were you born? Where are you from? And it said, Pisticci, Italy. I have a picture of the draft card. I'll show it to you later. That's when I found out. I found out 7 years ago. But prior to that, I had no idea. I had no idea that my grandfather from Pisticci had 7 brothers and sisters. I had no idea that I had 7 other aunts and uncles. I also didn't know that one of his sisters came to America also, Pasqualina, and she got married in the city. I never knew I had an aunt in New York City. And I got the papers back, and they followed my grandfather, who was Felipe de Leo, back 5 generations in Pisticci, starting in 1745. And so you have to come to Pisticci.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself and your life in New York.
Well, there was centers where the Italians who emigrated congregated in New York. And one of them was Little Italy in New York City. We were outside of Little Italy in a town or a section called Greenwich Village. And so in Greenwich Village, when I grew up, I had no idea that there were other people other than Italians in the world. Because ever since I was in the 1st grade, all the kids in school were all Italian. And so so basically I grew up in an Italian environment. And my mother had 4 sisters, no brothers, and they all lived locally. My father was one of 7, and all his brothers and sisters. His brother lived in Yonkers, but the rest lived locally. So whenever I walked the streets, I had 20 cousins. And it was similar for all the kids in that neighborhood. And so there was the neighborhood congregated around the church called St. Anthony of Padua. And so I went to St. Anthony's Grammar School in the city. So I went to a public high school. And in the public high school, very few Italians. I went to college. I went to New York University. New York University was 2 blocks from the apartment.
Okay.
I did not apply to college. The college called me and said, "Do you want to come to New York University?" And I said, "I don't want to live in an apartment." So they said, "Okay, if you come here, we'll put you in the dormitory." So I lived in the dormitory. My parents lived over there. I lived in the dormitory. Went to a medical school, Albert Einstein College of Medicine, and then I trained as a oculist, and I retired after 34 years.
Why did you choose to return to Pisticci?
I like that. I like that you are kind of in the heart of it, and you're not in the mega centers.
Okay.
But the mega centers are pretty close. It's a pretty easy drive, and so that's the big plan. The big plan is, now that I'm in retirement, and I am now officially an Italian citizen, we're going to explore. Italy is now our hobby, and so the hobby is going to take us everywhere. So, but we wanted to basically have a place where you can come home, be outside of the frenetic pace, be outside of the all tourists, and just be in a nice place with nice people.
Okay. Did you have some difficulties, or was it easy to get Italian citizenship?
Let's put it this way: it wasn't easy, but it wasn't difficult. It took 6 years from when I started to get the citizenship, and that's because they have an application process online through the Italian consulate in New York City. You go online. It takes about 3 months to try online to get an appointment, because they open up the appointments starting at 6 p.m. By 6 p.m. and 30 seconds, all the appointments are gone. Finally, you get the appointment. The appointment is for 2 years later. The earliest appointment is 2 years later. And then after they get the complete application, now the application is complete, they have up to 2 years to make a determination. Luckily for me, they made the determination 3 months in advance of 2 years. So they gave me the notice that I was approved for citizenship, and that was in total after 6 years.
What do you think about Pisticci, and what would you like to advise fellow citizens as a future Pisticcese?
I think we went over why I came to Pisticci. I like Pisticci. As far as giving advice, I think it's got to be the other way around. I don't think I have enough experience to give anybody too much advice. The only thing that I can tell people is I like it and the reasons I like it. And I think the advice should be to me from the fellow Pisticci, and having a new adventure. After you retire, most people in the United States, they retire, they go play golf.
Yeah.
they whatever. But this is a new adventure. You learn a new language. You learn a new culture. You eat better food.
Yeah.
So it's the next adventure for me. So that's my story.
Wow. Fantastic.
Pisticci was like the little gem, and this is our second time when we come for a month, and this is the second time. It doesn't disappoint. It's very nice people, very helpful people. We walk along the street, and people stop to help us. They see that we don't really know where we are, and so they stop. They give my fiance lemons from the tree. They talk. They show us where they work. They bring us in the house, and then they say, "If you need anything, call me." Piero Calandrinello, a retired dentist. Call me if you need anything. We were looking at real estate, and the woman from next door comes out. She's
sometimes.
Where does this happen?
Frank, thank you for this interview. I appreciate it so much.
I appreciate it as well.
I can tell you, see you in Pisticci.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wow.